Hidden in the remote desert of western New Mexico lies a towering sandstone monolith that has borne witness to centuries of human history. El Morro, or Inscription Rock, contains a stunning array of ancient petroglyphs and historical carvings etched into its weathered surface by those who passed this way. This video is all about the history of El Morro National Monument, El Morro Rock, and the inscription carved on it. So join us and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Archaeotrek. From the first Native American inhabitants who scaled its heights over 700 years ago to leave their enigmatic symbols and designs, to the daring Spanish conquistadors like Juan de Oñate, recording their expeditions into the unknown in 1606, to American soldiers and immigrant pioneers risking everything for a new life in the West in the 1800s. This rock has captured the stories, hopes, and struggles of all who traversed this harsh, unforgiving landscape. Painstakingly carved line by line, each inscription provides a window into worlds long gone, voices crying out from the past to be remembered. Deep in the desert landscapes of western New Mexico, an imposing sandstone promontory rises 300 feet from the earth and erodes in such fantastic forms as to give it the appearance of a castle. This is El Morro, a monumental witness who has chronicled the stories of those who journeyed across this unforgiving terrain over the centuries. Etched into the rock's weathered facades is a remarkable chronicle spanning over hundreds of years of human history and cultures. As we approach the sheer sandstone walls, the first markings reveal themselves, a tapestry of ancient Native American petroglyphs adorning the southern exposure. Haunting images of bighorn sheep, human figures, and indecipherable geometric designs gaze back at us across the centuries. These are the voices of the Ancestral Puebloans, indigenous inhabitants who constructed a vast 875-room Pueblo village atop this very mesa between 1275 and 1350 AD. To create some of the highest glyphs, they would have needed to construct precarious ladders and dangle over the cliff's precipitous edge, chiseling their sacred markings into the sandstone itself. For generations, the outcrop served as a natural fortress along the vital Zuni-Acoma trading trail. The village's position guarding a rare water pool in this parched landscape transformed El Morro into a prized desert oasis, drawing human life like a magnet. In the 16th century, with the arrival of Spanish, El Morro's role as a canvas truly began. As Spain's first governor and colonizer of New Mexico, Don Juan de Oñate's pioneering expedition had ventured as far as the Gulf of California before the conquistador stopped to carve a record of his visits to El Morro's rock. Remarkably, his carving was inscribed directly over the top of those ancient Puebloan petroglyphs. Over the coming decades and centuries, Oñate's territorial claim would be backed up by a tidal wave of names and dates engraved by Spanish soldiers, missionaries, and governors. In total, over 50 inscriptions remain, with the last Spanish marking appearing in 1774. Although Governor Oñate has the credit of placing the first Spanish inscriptions on the walls of El Morro, it contains hundreds of Indian glyphs which were carved many years before the Castilians first camped here. Oñate's inscription was placed over the work of a prehistoric scribe. While these pictographs appear on both sides of the cliff, the best work of the Indians appears on the south side, some of the carvings being so high that it is believed ladders must have been used in making them. These pictographs have never been deciphered, and there is some doubt as to whether they were intended to tell a story or were merely symbols representing various clans of the Pueblo Indians. Their chiseled words record a complex, often brutal history as Spain wrestled for dominance over the Pueblo peoples. Time and again, we see the same patterns emerge, a Spanish inscription celebrating the subjugation of a native tribe like the Zuni or Hopi, then another marking a few years later memorializing a retaliatory attack to avenge a murdered priest. Like this inscription from 1632 referring to Spanish troops marching to avenge the death of Father Letrado, who was scalped and killed by Zuni warriors the previous year. Or this triumphant declaration in 1692 by Don Diego de Vargas of his reconquest over the New Mexico territory following the 1680 Pueblo Revolt. For these Spanish conquerors, the inscriptions were a bold, permanent way to proclaim their dominion and spread of Catholicism over the so-called savages. You see names of men like Governor Manuel de Silva Nieto in 1620, recording how he compelled renewed obedience from the Zuni as vassals of His Majesty. The Pueblo perspective on these events is notably missing from the rock face. However, their resistance is evident through inscriptions memorializing repeated uprisings and the need for Spain to continually resubjugate the indigenous populations. It's an unmistakable record of cultural oppression and violence on this grand, unblinking canvas. Yet still the petroglyphs remained, stubbornly preserving the memory of El Morro's original inhabitants on the stone as their own descendants fought nearby. They are a powerful reminder that this land has been a place of profound spiritual importance for native peoples since long before the Spaniards arrived. For centuries, the sprawl of engravings at El Morro continued to grow as a new nation took shape, the United States of America. In 1849, Lieutenant J.H. Simpson and artist R.H. Kern became the first Americans to document the inscriptions here and add their own names to the historical record. In the years after, a steady stream of pioneers bound for new frontiers would follow, leaving their inscribed marks for prosperity. You'll find signatures from members of the ill-fated Rose-Baley immigrant party of 1858, including that of 12-year-old Sally Fox, who survived after being shot through the chest. Exploratory expeditions like that led by Edward F. Beale in 1857 to survey a road to California also stopped to etch their names using the rock's soft surface. By the late 19th century, El Morro had become known as Inscription Rock to the steady flow of settlers, soldiers, and wagon trains passing through. Its pages of stone tracked an entire era of Western expansion. But as the 20th century dawned, the handwriting was on the wall, or rather the rock, that this remarkable natural record needed to be preserved. Thankfully, in 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt designated El Morro as one of America's first national monuments, shortly after the Antiquities Act was passed. From that point on, no additional carvings would be permitted to protect the priceless inscriptions already covering the cliff faces. Today, the National Park Service serves as a steward of this outdoor museum, responsible for documenting and protecting over 2,000 carvings and petroglyphs that adorn the monument. Visitors are welcome to marvel at the layers of human stories quite literally etched in stone here at El Morro. As you gaze upon the ancient glyphs and pioneering inscriptions, you can't help but be overcome by a profound sense of the grand historical saga contained within these walls. Cultures conquered and reborn, empires risen and fallen, lives sacrificed in brutal conflicts, all crystallized in sandstone etchings that have miraculously withstood the test of time. And that marks the end of this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the Archaeotrek, and click here to watch our latest video.